get a close look at that Hall of Fame hardware sported by Randy Buehler here in the Tournament Center.
It's been a fun weekend, a lot going on. Welcome again, Randy Buehler here with Brian David-Marshall. Hall of Famers are still playing in the tournament. You got the side events kicking in, people trying to win that car. Meanwhile, we're now finished with the limited portion of the World Championships. 6 rounds in the books. We can talk a little bit about how that Lorwyn Booster Draft worked out. We talked yesterday that blue appears to be the best color. Blue is clearly the color that people most want to get. Whether you think it's Merfolk, whether you think it's Fairies, whether you just want to splash Mulldrifter, everybody wants blue cards in their deck. But the interesting thing is, okay, it's Booster Draft. You can't always get what you want. Right. You've got to react to the table, you got to find the underdrafted color, you got to get into what your neighbors are not, and 5 people managed to do that 6 times. 6-0 records, 5 guys managed to win both of their pods, and I think you've probably heard a couple of these guys. You talked to one of them, right? Yeah, I talked to Frank Karsten. Frank Karsten won the draft portion of Worlds. He went 6-0. He was on top of the standings, and he said that his goal in all limited formats since Mirrodin block has been to first pick artifacts. And he's trying to do that in this set also. Okay. But after Moonglove Extract, there's not a lot of artifacts in this format. No. So he broadens his definition of what an artifact is. Okay. His favorite artifact in this set? Mulldrifter. Oh, cute. Because you can play it in any deck. You're going to play it in any deck. You're going to have Vivid Lands. You might have a Springleaf Drum. You can. You're going to get there. Okay. And it's worth splashing. And he just considers that to be an artifact card. Okay. So he takes. So he's taking. He's not committing. Not committing. He's not going to commit. He's just going to take cards that he's going to want to play in any deck. Okay. Moonglove Extract is a very high pick. Oh yeah, sure. Mulldrifter's a very high pick. Wait for a tribal signal. And then he waits for a 3rd or 4th pick tribal signal to come down the line, and then he decides where to go, and he makes it work. He says, "Look, I don't have the most solid tied together tribes. I'm not all elves. I'm elves and Kithkin. I don't have all merfolk. I'm merfolk and Kithkin." Okay. Kithkin tends to be a common denominator to him. Kithkin are terrible. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants white. He's happy to sort of round out his casting costs, you know, smooth down his curve with Kithkin, and Surge of Thoughtwaft has been a huge all-star for him in both drafts. Wow. Because even though it triggers on Kithkin, it makes everybody bigger. So okay. It's been a little mini overrun for him, and he's been really happy with it. 6-0. Okay. Well, the guy I talked to was Adam Chambers. One of my favorite drafters in the world. And it's a little weird, right? He does not draft traditionally. Here's a guy, he plays 18 land every time. He draws, doesn't play first, he draws first. He's a big fan of 5-mana 3/3s. He's a big fan of blocking. And so, you know, his favorite cards are things like Moonglove Extract, Marsh Flitter, Weed Strangle. You know, he's really just perfectly happy to trade 2 crappy cards for 1 good card from the opponent. Doesn't care as much about card advantage as most folks. Just a different take on what matters in Limited. Big guys, block with them, run 18 lands so you can cast your 3/3s for 5 consistently. And that's how he builds his deck. He's been doing it for years. He's been having success in Limited for years, and 6-0 here. And he pulled himself back into the money in this tournament. Yeah, started out the tournament 1-4 in Standard. You know, won his last 6 matches. Yeah. Other undefeateds were Rubens Campana from Brazil, Akira Asahara from Japan, and Masami Kaneko from Japan. Rubens is playing in his first Pro Tour, by the way, this weekend. Brazilian team member, I'm guessing? He is not a Brazilian team member. Oh, he just qualified? He just, I believe, qualified on rating. Sure. He's on the Moto national team. Ha! I like it. Yeah. Meanwhile, we only have 5 rounds left of the individual portion of Worlds. 5 more rounds, they're going to be legacies. The truth. Like right now, people are scrambling. They can't find cards. They don't know what. Some people don't know what deck they're playing yet. They're trying to build a deck. No word on how many people drafted aggro decks, so they would have enough time in between rounds to scramble around and find bayous and tundras and the various lands that they're going to need for the legacy portion. So with 5 rounds to go, these next 5 rounds, we're going to find out who's in the individual top 8. We may decide the Player of the Year race. Basically, to beat Tomohiro Saito, somebody's going to have to top 8. Yes. Like Wafo Tapo could do it. You know, there's a couple guys that are in position to potentially do it. Kenji's still got a shot. Absolutely. Somebody's going to have to make the top 8, though. If none of the close guys make top 8, then we're going to crown Tomohiro Saito in a couple hours as Player of the Year. And we got a couple guys looking to repeat from last year's Worlds and making the top 8 back-to-back. True. Gabriel Nassif is sitting in 4th place right now. Nassif, I thought he was going to win Worlds last year. He had a semifinal exit in just a heartbreaker of a round where, you know, he made the play. I think he knew it was wrong, and he got top decked to lose because of the mistake. He'd love to get back and just wash that taste out of his mouth.
And I got to tell you, all weekend long, people have been telling me, if Gabriel Nassif gets to the legacy rounds...
Oh, really? He's got some tech?
He's got a deck.
Now, see, I saw he's working with Heasy and Chapin, right? We talked about how those guys had arguably the most interesting standard deck with their Dragonstorm concoction. But Heasy was like, I don't know what I'm playing. I gotta brew something. Heasy yesterday was like, all right, I got 23 hours to brew something up. He's just lying.
He may have been lying. Nassif had something.
Well, then Heasy's got something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chapin, also a member of that triumvirate, is sitting in 8th place, tied with Nassif at 27 points. That's really, those 3 guys, just the 3 of them, didn't want the big teams, just the 3 of them. Man, you see a couple of them in the top 8. If it ended right now, you'd have 2 of them in the top 8. First place, however, right now is Christoph Huber. He's got both himself and the
Swiss national
team sitting in first place in the team competition. So pretty interesting stuff. Probably 100 guys left in it at this point. You think X4 is going to be good enough?
X4 is going to be on the cusp.
X4 with good breakers.
You might get one in. It's definitely going to be X3 and 1, obviously.
Right. So there's about 50 guys that definitely control their own destiny. There's another 50 that need to win out and hope their tiebreakers are good enough. And that's the news. 11 rounds into 2007 World Championships. Brian and I are going to go watch some Legacy. Should be some craziness. We'll bring you the action. Stay tuned to the Tournament Center.